What's good, YouTube? Nova here, bringing you guys my Gem Knight deck profile. Alright, so starting off first, I'm just going to want to talk about this lovely mat. This thing looks really nice. Came from trollandtoadonline.com. Check them out, link in the description. Alright, moving into the deck profile. Alright, so for the normal vanilla monsters, I'm playing 3 copies of Gem Knight Garnet. Nothing really to talk about. He's just your, really, he's Pyro and pretty much the best ones of the, that need a fire or a Pyro type monster. So he's the best one. But also the deck revolves around normals. So you should really want to be, you really want a lot of them in your deck. Alright, moving on. I got 2 Tourmaline, the other Gem Knight normal. He's a Thunder type. So that's really it. But also he's just that normal monster, and the deck needs normal monsters to work. Alright, we got triple Gem Knight Obsidian. Obsidian's effect is anytime he's sent from the hand to the graveyard, you can target one level 4 or lower normal monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. So he's kind of like, you'll use him to fusion summon, and then he'll be a monster reborn for that monster you just used. So pretty good. And then 3 copies of Gem Knight Lazuli. Lazuli lets you, anytime this card is sent to the grave by a card effect, you can target one normal monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. So you can get this card in the grave with things like Foolish Burial, any of your fusions, like your Gem Knight Fusion, your Brilliant Fusion. You get them in grave, you use a normal monster, you get to add that normal monster. So it's basically a fusion with less materials in a way. Moving into the kind of extra Gem Knight names, I'm playing 2 Gem Knight Alexandrite, right? Basically, you contribute them to special summon 1 Gem Knight monster from your deck. 1 normal Gem Knight monster, though. He's alright. I mean, he can be good if you have, like, if you don't need your normal summon, because, honestly, you don't really need it. So, a lot of times, if you're just looking for that certain type, like Fire, Pyro, or Thunder, you can summon him, tribute him, and then get him out. But a lot of times, I just use him as fusion material, because he's not that needed. 2 Gem Knight Sardonyx. Sardonyx is kind of, he's a Gemini, so he has to be, like, once you've normal summoned, you have to re-normal summon him. But his effect is, when he does get that effect, if he destroys opponent's my monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can add 1 Gem Knight card from your deck to your hand. So if you can get that effect, it's a really good card. But other than that, he's just really a Gem Knight, an extra name. And he's a Pyro type, so you can use him for going into, like, Citrine. But also, a cool thing is, he's treated as a normal monster in the graveyard. So if you run out of targets to add to hand, you can always add him back to hand. So, pretty good thing. 2 Crystal Rose. A pretty new card for them. But basically, Crystal Rose is, once per turn, you can send 1 Gem Knight monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. And if you do, this card's name becomes treated as that monster's name until the end of this turn. That effect's really good because you can combo it with Lazuli to send Lazuli to add back a monster, and then you can, if you have Gem Knight Fusion, you can just use the Crystal Rose being treated as Lazuli on field to the grave, plus the one you just added back. So it means you can literally just normal summon it just to be able to fusion summon if you have nothing in hand. Because you can then banish, if you have Gem Knight Fusion in grave, you can banish the Lazuli to add the Gem Knight Fusion back. So, a very good card. Ball Slid has an effect when it's in the graveyard. You can banish 1 fusion monster from the graveyard to special summon it in face-up defense position. So, pretty good. So, it can just, once it dies, it can just come back. I like playing 2 because, you know, you want to see it. And then the last monster, which is not actually Gem Knight related, is just 2 Summoner Monk. You play like Gem Knight Fusion can be discarded, and then you can just bring it back by banishing the Gem Knight monster in grave. So it's really not even a cost. So Summoner Monk is really good because it allows you to access. It allows you to access Exceeds, but also it lets you bring out one of your missing Gem Knight fusion materials, and you can use that monster as a fusion material, and then just let Summoner Monk kind of sit on board. His effect is a once per turn, so if he stays on board, if you do that, you can just keep using him again. Alright, that's it for monsters. I think it's somewhere like 20 monsters, 19 or 20 monsters. So, moving to spells, we got 3 Gem Knight Fusion. This card's basically send from your hand or your side of the field to the graveyard fusion materials that are listed on a Gem Knight fusion monster. That's pretty good. It's like polymerization, except it has an effect that you could banish one Gem Knight monster from your graveyard to add this card to your hand. So really good because you literally only need one of these and you can just keep bringing that one back. You just play multiples because if your opponent banishes it, it kind of hurts. Triple Absorb Fusion. This card's pretty much Rhoda for Gem Knights. It's just add one Gem Knight card from your deck to your hand. It does have an effect that lets you banish monsters listed from that are listed on a Gem Knight fusion monster from your hand or grave, or your side of the field. You can only activate one of these per turn, so you can only use it as a search card once per turn. But its banish effect to make a fusion, unless you have no other way, it's not the best option because a lot of times you want your monsters in graveyard. But if it happens and you just have no other reason or no other plays, you gotta. Also, if you use this card, you can only summon Gem Knight monsters that turn. So if you go Summon Monk, you can't activate. Well, if you go Summon Monk, you can't go into your Exceeds. You have to go into your fusions. And then the best card, 3 copies of Brilliant Fusion. This card is literally just send fusion materials listed from your extra deck or from your main deck to the graveyard, and special summon one Gem Knight monster from your extra deck. Right? But also but then it changes their attack to 0. But you can discard one spell card from your hand, so that monster gains its original attack and defense. You can only activate one of them per turn, but it's not such a downfall. Plus, you can discard Gem Knight Fusion, which just can come back after the materials you've just used. And the last multiple trap spells, I'm playing 3 copies of MST, just because back row is a real problem. So this deck really just wants to go off. So the little amount of problems or stuff it's going to run into, the better. And then moving into the last 3 spells that are just one-ofs. One Dark Hole. If I had Raigeki, I'd be playing Raigeki, but unfortunately I do not. One Foolish Burial. This card helps with kind of setup because you can send realistically anything. Like you can send, if you have a certain monster you want to summon, like if you have Lazuli in hand and you can fusion with it, you can send one of the normal monsters to grave and then you can add it back to hand. Or you can use it to dump Lazuli, and then Lazuli lets you add a normal monster from your deck to your hand. The last card I'm playing, for spells, 1 Burial from the Different Dimension. It's pretty standard. It's just target 3 of your banished monsters, return them to the graveyard. It's just because when you're banishing with Gem Knight Fusion, you just want to put them back in graveyard. Alright, moving into traps. I got 6 traps. 1 Solemn Warning. Pretty standard. 1 Torrential Tribute. I kind of like this card while pendulums are out there, because even if you have to destroy your own board, I'd rather destroy my own board than let my opponent destroy my own board. 1 Bottomless Pendulum Summons plus other things. Compulse. Anytime your opponent goes into an extra deck, you just bounce that back. You're laughing. And then 2 copies of Deep Prison, just because attacks are very bad. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra. I play 1 copy of Amethyst. You can't actually make it with the normal ways. The only way you can make it is off of Gem Knight Lady Master Diamond, or Brilliant Diamond. That's the only way, but he combos really, they could combos really nicely if you go Lady Diamond, Tribute, make Amethyst, and then make, if you can make Ruby in that same play, and then Tribute Amethyst, all spells and trap cards on the field return to the hand. All set, return to the hand. And then Ruby gains the attack equal to his current attack, so 1950. So it's not bad, just me, and Ruby is really good with its own effect. So that's why I play Amethyst. 1 Topaz. It needs a Gem Knight Tourmaline and then any other Gem Knight monster. Basically what it does is this card can attack during each battle phase. And then if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you get to inflict damage equal to the attack of the destroyed monster. So not too bad. Only 1,800 attacks. That's the only thing I don't like about him. But he's really good if you can get him engraved and banish him for Master Diamond. He's really good. One copy of Gem Knight Ruby. Ruby needs one Garnet. Gem Knight Garnet plus any other fusion, any other Gem Knight monster. Its effect is once per turn you can target one face-up Gem Knight monster. You can tribute one face-up Gem Knight monster. This card gains attack equal to the attributed monster's attack until the end phase. And then if he attacks a defense position monster, he can deal piercing. So not too bad. One Prismara. Prismara is one Gem Knight monster plus any other Thunder type monster. So you got a few targets in here. Actually, you only have 2, but that's about it. Once per turn, its effect is once per turn you can send one Gem Knight card from your hand to the graveyard to target one face-up card on the field and destroy that target. So once again, you can discard Gem Knight Fusion and then just bring Gem Knight Fusion back. Moving on, I got one Gem Knight Citrine. It's one Gem Knight monster plus one Pyro type monster. You have 5 targets for this guy, so it's not so bad. If this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent cannot activate any activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. So basically, he's really good just for attacks. Then I play just a couple of normal guys. 2 Zirconic. He's just one Gem Knight monster plus a rock type, so he's very easy to pull off. But he's just a 29 beater. He's literally, if you don't have the right requirements, you can go into him with pretty well anything in this deck. Moving on, I got 2 Gem Knight Master Diamonds. I like playing 2 copies of this guy because there's options, and there's times when you actually will go into 2 of these guys. Basically, he's really good because he gains a 100 attack for every Gem Knight monster, for every Gem monster in your graveyard. And then once per turn, you can banish one level 7 or lower Gem Knight Fusion monster from your graveyard. And then until the end phase, this card's name and original effect become the same as that banished monster. So you can copy like Topaz to attack twice and deal damage. And at 29, he's really strong. If you can beat over 2 monsters, you're dealing like anywhere almost 4,000 damage. Then I'm playing 2 copies of Gem Knight Lady Brilliant Diamond. She's really strong with her effect, just because you'll usually use Brilliant Fusion to send the materials to the grave to summon her. But then she gets her effect. Once per turn, you contribute one face-up Gem Knight monster you control. And if you do, special summon one Gem Knight Fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. So you can literally go her into any of the other guys, which is really good, because at that point you can make anything. You can go Lady Brilliant Diamond to Master Diamond and just swing with the 2 of them. So it's nuts. So that's it for my fusion monsters. Moving on to XZs, I'm just playing the 4 staples. I'm playing 1 Exciton Knight. Summoner Monk can make these guys very easy. So and if your opponent's set up, you can just nuke the board and that's it. And then just continue going off with more fusion monsters. You can't inflict damage, unfortunately, but you still can go off. I'm playing 1 copy of number 101 Silent Arc. Absorbing special summon monsters is always good. 1 Castel. Returning those detached 2. Return them 1 face-up card to your opponent's deck is good. And then 1 Cowboy for game. For that 800-point game is always good. Alright, guys. This has been my Gem Knight deck profile. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time.